Audio Jungle.
Ukraine was attacked by more than 130 inches Shaheeds. How many were shot down by air defense? On the night of October 16, Russia attacked Ukraine with 136 Shahed attack drones, as well as various types of missiles. 51 drones were shot down. This was reported by the Air Force of the Ukrainian Armed Forces. Shocked were launched from the Russian Kursk, Oryol and Primorsk-Akhtarsk regions, and destroyed 51 of them within the Sumy, Cherkasy, Kirovohrad, Ternopil, Kherson, Kharkiv, Zhytomyr, Donetsk, Dnipropetrovsk, Mykolaiv, Kyiv, Poltava, Chernihiv and Chernivtsi regions. Another 60 drones were probably suppressed by means of electronic warfare, and 2 more drones returned to Russia. More than 20 inches Shaheeds are still in the airspace of Ukraine. In addition to drones, the Russians hit Donetsk region with AS-300-400s anti-aircraft guided missile from the temporarily occupied territory of the region, and Chernihiv region with an Kh-59 guided air missile from the Kursk region. The Air Force did not mention their destruction. The head of Ternopil OVA Vyacheslav Negoda reported an attack on one of the industrial facilities in the region. A fire broke out there, which, however, was quickly extinguished. There are no victims there. It should be noted that such a nighttime drone attack occurred after a one-day break. The night of October 15 passed without Russian drones for the first time in 48 days, monitoring resources claimed. During the night attack against Ukraine, Russia struck one of the industrial facilities in the territory of the Ternopil region. A large-scale fire broke out. On October 12, in the Kharkiv region, 2 civilians were injured as a result of an FPV drone attack on Kupiansk. The hit was near a civilian car. The Ukrainian defense company has developed a barrage munition called Stick M12. The commander of the ground forces initiated an investigation into the incident at the Asgard unit. The commander of the ground forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine Alexander Pavlyuk initiated an official investigation after the appeal of the Asgard military group. The day before, the Asgard military released a video in which Alexander Dmitriev, nicknamed Tikhohad, allegedly threatens the military unit, humiliates and promises to break them over the knee. The fighters noted that Dmitriev is a civilian who allows himself to interfere in the work of the unit, and they call him an advisor to Commander Pavlyuk. On October 14, the command of the ground forces announced that the incident that occurred in the Asgard unit will be thoroughly investigated. After that, Alexander Pavlyuk initiated an official investigation by the Military Service of Law and Order in the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The conclusions and decisions, according to him, will be public. He also noted that justice will be ensured in full accordance with the norms of the current legislation. We previously reported that a conflict between the manager of the National Bank and a military serviceman took place in a parking lot in Kyiv. The latter stated that banks almost hit him and threatened him with a weapon, but the official himself denies these words. The police are investigating threats to kill a Belarusian volunteer from the head of the NBU department, Pavel Polyarush. The incident happened during a road conflict in Kyiv. Polyarush was drunk. Russia attacked an industrial facility in the Ternopil region on the night of October 16. This is reported by the State Emergency Service of Ukraine. During the night attack, the enemy struck one of the industrial facilities of the Ternopil region. A large-scale fire broke out, the report says. 45 rescuers and 12 units of special equipment of the State Emergency Service and 12 policemen with 4 units of special equipment were involved in liquidation of the consequences. It was possible to quickly localize and eliminate the fire, the State Emergency Service stated. During the night attack against Ukraine, Russia struck one of the industrial facilities in the territory of the Ternopil region. A large-scale fire broke out. On October 12, in the Kharkiv region, 2 civilians were injured as a result of an FPV drone attack on Kupiansk. The hit was near a civilian car. The Ukrainian defense company has developed a barrage munition called Stick M12. In total, the occupiers launched 2 S-300 and X-59 missiles and 136 drones over Ukraine. Air defense was able to shoot down 51 drones, 60 Russian drones were lost due to the work of EU, 2 turned back, and more than 20 are in the airspace of Ukraine. The General Staff of the Armed Forces called the most difficult direction of the front. During the past 24 hours, 171 combat clashes were recorded in Ukraine. Yesterday, the enemy hit the positions of Ukrainian units and settlements with 5 missile strikes using 13 missiles, as well as 65 airstrikes 130 CAV. In addition, it carried out more than 4,500 attacks, 169 of them from rocket salvo systems, reports the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. On the Kharkiv direction, the Russians stormed the areas of Vovchansk and Staritsa settlements 11 times. There were 28 attacks by the occupiers in the Kupiansk direction. The defense forces repelled enemy assaults near Kucherivka, Novosinivka, Harushivka, Pishani, Lushkivka, Lozova, Kruglyakivka, Petropavlivka, Kaliznivka, and Vaishnovo. The enemy attacked 16 times in the Lyman direction. Tried to penetrate our defense near Grakivka, Makivka, Nevsky, Zarikny, and Torsky. In the Kramatorsk direction, the occupiers attacked 3 times in the areas of Kalinivka, Stupochki and Predtekany. In the direction of Teresk, the enemy, supported by aviation, carried out 9 attacks near Teresk, Dakhny and Sherbanivka. In the Pokrovsky direction, the defenders stopped 26 assault and offensive actions of the occupiers in the direction of Novotroitsky, Myrolubivka, Pramen, Krasny Yar and Krutoy Yar. The greatest concentration of enemy attacks was near the settlement of Selidov. In the Kharkiv direction, the defense forces repelled 40 attacks. The occupiers most actively tried to advance in the areas of the settlements of Novodmitrivka and Georgievka. In addition, the enemy attacked in the direction of Kremenaya Balka, Sukurini, Novozlidivka, Kostyantinivka, Antonivka, and Katerinivka. In the Vremysk direction, the enemy carried out 2 assaults on our positions in the Rozdolny and Bogoyavlenka districts. Actively used attack and bomber aircraft for strikes on the direction. In the Orikhiv direction, the occupiers attacked in the direction of Malaya Tokmachka. In the Dnieper direction, the Russian invaders tried 5 times to dislodge our units from their positions. They were repulsed and suffered losses. No signs of the formation of enemy offensive groups were detected in the Volyn and Polisk directions. On the border with the Chernihiv and Sumy regions, the enemy from the territory of Russia is actively using artillery and aviation in the areas of Ukrainian settlements. Compared to Monday, the number of combat clashes decreased yesterday, from 198 to 171. The Kharkiv direction remains the first in terms of the number of enemy offensives and assaults, followed by Pokrovsky. Earlier, for months, the main direction of the enemy's attack was the Pokrovsky direction. During the night attack against Ukraine, Russia struck one of the industrial facilities in the territory of the Ternopil region. A large-scale fire broke out. On October 12, in the Kharkiv region, 2 civilians were injured as a result of an FPV drone attack on Kupiansk. The hit was near a civilian car. The Ukrainian Defense Company has developed a barrage munition called Stick M12. In total, the occupiers launched 2 S-300 and X-59 missiles and 136 drones over Ukraine. Air defense was able to shoot down 51 drones, 60 Russian drones were lost due to the work of EU, 2 turned back, and more than 20 are in the airspace of Ukraine. In the Kyiv region, a house burned down due to the fall of the wreckage of an unmanned aerial vehicle, the State Emergency Service said. In the Kyiv region, a private residential building burned down as a result of the fall of a fragment of a downed Russian drone. This is reported by the State Emergency Service in Telegram. A private residential building caught fire in Kyiv Oblast as a result of falling fragments of an enemy drone. The building was partially destroyed, the report says. The fire was quickly extinguished, there were no casualties or injuries. The head of the Kyiv OVA, Ruslan Kravchenko, also reported that the alarm in the region lasted for more than 12 hours and air defense forces were actively working. Enemy targets were destroyed. There were no hits on objects of critical or residential infrastructure. There were no casualties among the population, he said. At the same time, he added that as a result of falling fragments of downed enemy targets, a private house and a car caught fire in one of the gardening societies, and another house and utility premises were damaged. The building suffered significant destruction. A nearby car also burned down. Another house, utility premises and a fence were damaged. The operative groups continue their work to fix and eliminate the consequences of the enemy attack, concluded the head of the OVA. In Donetsk region, a woman leaked the positions of the armed forces to the occupiers and wanted to flee to the Russian Federation. In Donetsk region, the security service reported suspicion to a 38-year-old resident of Selidovo. The woman surrendered the positions of the defense forces in the Pokrovsky direction to the occupiers, and after that she tried to escape to Russia through the European Union. This was reported by the SBU press center. The suspect turned out to be a 38-year-old resident of Selidovo, who was part of the FSB's agent network. Law enforcement officers stopped its activities in the region in October 2023. According to the SBU, the suspect leaked the locations of Ukrainian troops in the Pokrovsky direction to the occupiers, and after that she arrived in Kirovohrad Oblast, from where she planned to leave as a migrant to the European Union, and then to the Russian Federation. During the search, law enforcement officers seized the detainee's Russian passport and the mobile phone she used to contact the curator. Investigators of the security service informed the woman of suspicion under Part 2 of Art. 111 of the Criminal Code of Ukraine. Treason committed under martial law. She faces life imprisonment with confiscation of property. Earlier, the Security Service of Ukraine detained 2 more members of the agent network of the Russian FSB, which was exposed in August in the Dnipropetrovsk region. In addition, thanks to the evidence base of the SBU, an FSB agent was sentenced to life imprisonment with confiscation of property, who gave the occupiers the geolocation of Ukrainian troops during the battles for Bakhmut. The enemy attacked energy facilities in several regions, partially without power in Kherson region and Mykolaiv region. During the past day, due to shelling and fighting, there were power outages in Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk, Sumy and Kharkiv regions. This was reported by the press service of the Ministry of Energy. In the Kharkiv region, due to hostilities, power was cut off at substations and household consumers. Power has been restored. In the Mykolaiv region, due to technological malfunctions, substations were cut off, household consumers and industry were also left without power. The power supply was restored according to the backup scheme. On the morning of October 16, due to technological reasons, the overhead line was shut down again, and household and industrial consumers of the cities of Kherson, Mykolaiv, as well as partially Mykolaiv and Kherson regions were cut off. Work is currently underway to restore the power supply. Ukrenergo confirmed the information that consumers in parts of the Mykolaiv and Kherson regions, including the regional centers, Mykolaiv and Kherson, were cut off this morning. Power engineers are currently working on eliminating the causes of the outage. Within a few hours, all consumers should be healed. We also reported that today, October 16, electricity went out in the Kherson and Mykolaiv regions. In particular, consumers in regional centers were left without electricity. Recently, blackouts during the day were recorded in 10 regions of Ukraine. The reasons for the outages were hostilities, shelling and bad weather. As of today, the power system is working stably. Freezes that are forecast will not be long-lasting, so no power outage schedules are forecast. In Kharkiv Oblast, they plan to evacuate children from Borova. In the Kharkiv region, 119 children from 78 families are planned to be evacuated from the village of Borova. Alexander Tertishny, head of the Borovska SVA, told Suspiln Kharkiv about this. "We are talking about children mainly of school age," he noted. Yesterday, information about the evacuation was spread in the mass media. Now we are dealing with it. Parents generally understand that the heating season is ahead. What will happen with electricity and gas? We have a crossing here. The situation is like this, anything can happen. Parents understand this. A number of people are already saying, we are already looking for housing, we will solve the issue of taking the children abroad, Tertishny said. He noted that if the situation in Borova becomes critical, and families with children remain, the SVA will involve the police in the evacuation. But for some reason, I think that it will be a small part of families, and everything will go well that way. People understand that this is the safety of their children, Alexander Tertishny said. Russian terrorists continue to perpetrate terror against civilians and civilian infrastructure in the Kharkiv region. In the Kupian district, they decided to strengthen evacuation measures. In the Kharkiv region, mandatory evacuation was also announced for all residents of 4 communities of the Kupian region, including the city of Kupiansk. Families with children must leave Borovska Romata. Ukrainian scouts destroyed an enemy regiment in the Kharkiv region. Ukrainian scouts conducted a successful operation in the Liptsy district of the Kharkiv region. They managed to destroy a regiment of Russian invaders and clear 400 hectares of forest, reports the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. The operation was carried out by the units of active actions of the HUR, Arten, Kraken, and the International Legion. In particular, the result was the capture of the battalion defense area of the enemy, the destruction of 3 motorized rifle battalions, the Storm Detachment and the Reconnaissance Company of the 7th Separate Motorized Rifle Regiment of the 11th Army Corps of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation. The peculiarity of the operation was that it was possible to bring in the infantry of the 13th Brigade of the Charter NSU with incomparably low losses. This is an example of excellent cooperation between professional special forces and a line unit, noted the GUR. The successful mission of the GUR creates conditions for the further displacement of the Russian occupiers from the north of the Kharkiv region, the intelligence concluded. We will remind you that in the past day, on October 15, the armed forces of Ukraine once again eliminated more than 1,000 Russian invaders. We also wrote that the forces of the 3rd Assault Brigade conducted a successful counteroffensive in the Kharkiv region. In Nikopol region, the occupiers injured a pregnant woman and a 4-year-old boy. On October 15, the Russian invaders again shelled the village of the Marganets community in the Dnipropetrovsk region with artillery. The shells hit a private house where a 27-year-old pregnant woman and her 4-year-old son were. This was reported by the National Police. The head of the Nikopol District Administration, Yevhen Yevtushenko, reported 4 Russian shellings from barrel artillery. In addition, the invaders used 8 kamikaze drones, attacking Nikopol and the settlements of Mirovska, Marganetska, and Chervonogrigorivska communities. During the midday shelling of the village of Marganets community, the Russians injured a pregnant woman and a 4-year-old boy. The victims were hospitalized in a moderate condition. In total, as a result of the shelling, 6 private houses, 7 commercial buildings, 1 was destroyed, infrastructure, company buildings, an excavator, gas and electricity lines were mutilated. According to the State Emergency Service, 3 kamikaze drone strikes were recorded. During the past day, due to shelling and fighting, there were power outages in Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk, Sumy and Kharkiv regions. We also reported that today, October 16, electricity went out in the Kherson and Mykolaiv regions. In particular, consumers in regional centers were left without electricity. Recently, blackouts during the day were recorded in 10 regions of Ukraine. The reasons for the outages were hostilities, shelling and bad weather. As of today, the power system is working stably. Freezes that are forecast will not be long-lasting, so no power outage schedules are forecast. Ukrainian tanks close-range shot down a Russian armored personnel carrier in the Kursk region. In the Kursk region of the Russian Federation, a Russian armored personnel carrier drove close to the tanks of the armed forces of Ukraine. The fighters successfully destroyed it. This was reported by the press service of 225 OSHB and released a video. The battle a few hours ago, the Russians advanced on armor, but met our tank, which wished a peaceful night to the occupiers. The survivors replenished the exchange fund, the message reads. Earlier, on one of the directions in the Donetsk region, the artillery of the Chervona Kalina brigade was able to destroy the Russian Grad rocket salvo system with full ammunition from the first shot. And Ukrainian scouts conducted a successful operation in the Liptsev district of the Kharkiv region.